Deafening Silence from the Prophets of Anti-Racism, April 17, 2025. I'm still resentful about how many Christian voices spent the summer of 2020 lecturing good-hearted Christians for their alleged complicity in racism and white supremacy. Sermons were preached, articles were written, podcasts and roundtable discussions were posted, all lamenting the problem of systemic racism in our majority white country. People who don't have a racist bone in their bodies sat in the pews and were scolded for their part in biases and injustices in sermons taken from DiAngelo and Ibram Kendi books rather than God's Word. On social media, we were scolded for not participating in the Say Black Lives Matter game. Of course we think they matter. Having to say it to prove it is like answering the have you stopped beating your wife question. Performative self-flagellation was the only way to avoid suspicion. Quote, as a white person, I know I haven't done enough. It's my turn to listen, end quote. Any who denied their racism only proved how racist they are because such claims showed their quote-unquote white fragility. It was awful. And now there's the Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf case. A young black man killed a young white man. The trial is yet to happen, though the details seem clear enough. If the roles were reversed, we would have had racism sermons yet again, blaming white Christians. No such sermons were preached. The black community has rallied around the young black man, with many insisting he did nothing wrong and raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for him and his family, essentially rewarding him for his actions. The family has moved into an upscale house and purchased a Cadillac with their donations. A few comments from the donors. Quote, you did the right thing, Carmelo. You will win this war. The foundational black American family has your back. Don't let these demonic racists and, redacted slur, make you feel guilty for defending yourself. End quote. Quote, Slavics, colonizers, redacted slur, you mad or nah? Foundational black Americans protecting our own Carmelo Anthony. We call on our ancestors to help fight. We know the truth. Stronger together. God's people. Stand your ground. Redacted expletive. Self-defense. Peace, love, light. End quote. Quote, this is for justice and equity. I am donating because this country is inherently racist and has not treated people of our skin tone fairly. This does not make up for legacies of racism and white violence, but it is a small ripple in a larger fight for justice. End quote. Quote, it's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when we do it. You know the rest. Us against them, period. Praying for the family. End quote. Quote, and I hope we raise you 1 million. These white people can die mad like they ancestors did. Laughing emoji. End quote. Though a few do, most of the comments do not say, let's wait for a trial to hear all the facts. Most say, in some way or another, race first, justice later. If the roles were reversed, these quotes would be plastered everywhere as evidence of the massive problem we face. We would have had sermons on white supremacy and putting our race over our fellow man. No posts were made and no such sermons were preached. Then, a black judge reduced Anthony's bail from 1 million to 250,000. If the roles were reversed, we would have heard about how this is proof of systemic biases and how it's our duty to speak out about injustices. We cannot be silent. No such sermons were preached. The question we have to ask, where have the stalwart crusaders of anti-racism gone? Justice is being thrown aside in favor of skin color. Isn't that what we're supposed to oppose? What happened to we cannot be silent and the world must see a church that speaks out against racism? Why hasn't the Gospel Coalition spoken up? Why hasn't every big-name megachurch leader been asked to weigh in? What does Andy Stanley think about this? In the Churches of Christ, where is the dismayed Dr. Jeremy Beller op-ed in the Chronicle, the John Mark Hicks Facebook post, the Radically Christian podcast episode? Don't they care? To be honest, I really don't think most churches need to spend time discussing the Metcalf Anthony case from the pulpit. Most in the pews are well aware of right and wrong in this situation. I didn't preach on it last week, and I don't think most need to this week. We shouldn't latch on to every news item that arises from Sunday to Sunday. But, on the other hand, if a church spent the last 5 years talking about race issues and lamenting every story that's been in the national spotlight, yet looks the other way on this one, it'll speak volumes. Do they care about hatred or injustice, or do they care about being in step with the latest TV outrage? Were they taking courageous stands, or were they swimming with the current? Were they confronting racism, or were they proclaiming critical theory? That's the bigger picture here. One of the clearest proofs that churches have been captured by critical theory is in the issue of race. All of the attention that has been given to racism has been in one direction. The quote-unquote oppressor majority can be blamed and guilted, but no one else can. As I wrote last year in The Church's Coming Race Decision, Christians need to make up their minds regarding racial in-group preferences. Thanks to critical theory, prioritizing one's own race has been accepted as a necessary strategy for some and condemned as the worst sin possible for others. It's either wrong for everybody or okay for everybody, but it can't be right for some and wrong for others. In either case, everybody should be able to agree that preemptively taking sides in a criminal trial because of skin color is wrong. Similarly, they'll speak of the sins of domineering males but never of feminism. They'll speak of how the church has been mean to LGBT people but won't preach God's true feelings towards sexual perversion. They're spraying fire extinguishers all over the floods, to paraphrase Lewis. See article, the C.S. Lewis quote you need to memorize. A biblical view calls out sin, whether it's done by white, black, Hispanic, Asian, male, female, young, old, straight, homosexual, or any other combination of demographic markers. It's time we get back to letting the Word shape our views rather than the world. Thanks for listening. Go to jackwilkie.co to make sure you're a subscriber to the email list, and if you would like to support my work there, you can become a paid subscriber and get digital copies of a few of my books included as a token of my thanks.